Hi, how are you? As I was already presented, my name is Raimundo, and we are a bunch of architects and designers. We called ourselves BAAD because we don't think we're that goodies as other people. So what we want to do tonight is talk a little bit about what we want to achieve being here in Toronto. The idea of BAAD started 4 years ago in Mexico City. Me with other friends like Angelica, when we were living there, we decided that we want to start jumping from one discipline to the other, from architecture to graphic design to policy making to governance, etc. And we were looking for those kind of contracts that might let us do that. What happened is that 4 years later, we're here in Toronto, so we decided to change the mandate.
So last year I met Ray at school and I got excited about the project too, and we decided to tighten it up and actually form ourselves as BAAD. So we're really interested in what's going on in Latin America, in particular Mexico City, because we've got Ray and Angelica that have lots of great connections there. So we're hoping that we can foster that connection across borders.
The best way that we found to start that connection was we want you to like us as Latin American designers. So what better way to make you like us than explaining you what we think about Mexican design, how we think that actually being so global as Mexico City with its 20 million people living there, from that global situation to the very local and very warm and very tactile situation of the little magical towns that we have in the country, like San Miguel de Allende, full of a design full of contrast, the same way that the country is, and how that kind of, how can you say, like how that situation that we have in Mexico has give birth to works of art like Frida Kahlo's, for example, all the way to what's being developed nowadays, for example, here in Toronto, like Guacamele, a video game developed here in Toronto by Drinkbox Studios. We want to keep this happening, and we just want to facilitate it to happen more and more and more and more. We believe that the inspiration that we have as a Mexican designer, speaking about myself, comes from many places and has many faces. We have a long story of how we make social issues art and how we show what we as artists or designers think in murals, in songs, etc. From Diego Rivera and its murals, if somebody went to the AGO, to what we just showed in the last picture of the All City Canvas. We also find inspiration in buildings like the ones that we have on downtown Mexico City, full of ornament, full of color, full of life. And what we're starting to do as a more contemporary generation of architects and designers is to take those elements and tweak them and have our how can I say, like our answer to the world. We're not only taking the design from out and just moving it so to make it fit in Mexico, we're trying to push back in certain way, like Cielito Linto by Azraue, which is a new interpretation of that kind of ornament.
And music is another one of the main inspirations in Mexico. Mexico is a loud place. There's music in the street, mariachis, even the tamal vendor has a tune. So we want to take that. We want to take the sounds of the city and tweak them and remix it just like Nortec does. And they take the popular accordion player and trumpet player and mix them live with their iPads and make awesome electronic music, almost like a Mexican Daft Punk. And you got to party with them, like for sure. So another source of inspiration is also tactile, and it comes from textiles, and there's a long tradition of Mexican textiles. These ones shown here are like the more thick woolen textiles that come from little towns close to the mountains. But what we're seeing is that contemporary fashion designers in Mexico are taking these textures and these patterns, and they are using it for their own collections. And we take that as an example of taking this Mexican heritage and putting it back into the world, and it's actually very successful. This is by Alejandra Quesada. She's very good. Yeah, she's nice. And, well, Mexico is also, like Ray said, is a country of contrast. There's also like the very posh scene, like this is a design for a salon to drink champagne and tea. Yeah, very stylish in Mexico City, in a place called Polanco, which is a very nice neighborhood. And then you have places like this in Culiacan, a botanical garden, which Culiacan is a very violent city, so there was a project there by artist Pedro Reyes to take weapons and convert them into shovels and plant trees in the botanical garden. So, and also there was there's Pechacucha in Mexico, and it also evolved into different kinds of gatherings, like this one called Pase Usted, shown here, to discuss things like issues of national concern, like education or health or sustainability. And then bringing it back to Toronto, I want to introduce myself. I'm Angelica Ramos. I'm a graphic designer, and I find inspiration in music, and I find inspiration in Toronto and in Toronto winter, even though it's tough. And this is only my 4th winter here, but thanks. Back to Ray.
And yeah, almost kind of to wrap it up, as I already said, my name is Raimundo Pavan. I've been jumping around here in Toronto, in Mexico City, doing different stuff. But pretty much, as I was saying at the beginning, what we want to do is, now after we gave you a very, very brief explanation of what we think it's important about Mexican design, where we think we are, what we think it matters for us, we want to hear back from you. Our intention is actually to do what we just did here, go back and do it back home, because we believe Toronto needs to meet Mexico City, and Mexico City needs to meet Toronto, because they will be a perfect fit. So, I don't know, pretty much that's it. Thank you. Gracias. Please get in touch. We would like to hear from you. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you all.
Thank you.